right, here we are at the Pecos mission, and I'm starting with the sign here because if you can see the outline, what's still here is plenty big, but it's the ruins of an almost inconceivably large and ambitious 1625 adobe pueblo mission. I mean, the thing with the size of a cathedral, if you can see that outline. So you got to start here, but now we're going to examine the real thing, what's left of it, and it's still plenty impressive. You can see it just kind of looms up there, and it gets bigger the closer you get to it. And this is just the absolute shell of what was here. And I think this is what you basically call just the nave of the church. The whole church was 4 to 5 times higher and larger than this. It's incredible because you can see the manner of construction. It's just absolute sun-dried earth adobe walls, 5 to 6 feet thick at the base. It just goes up, 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 up. And you can come into this area where the altar would have been in ancient times. You can see that there's still the remnants of the rafters that would have carried the roof all around here. Just an incredible. The interior doorways are this fascinating, what I would call like a Moorish arch, a horseshoe arch. I consider, and here we can see a little more detail of the wall construction. It's just as simple as you would imagine. It's large sun-dried bricks that were laid with mud, mortar between them. Just the mud's the same as the bricks. And the entire thing was, as you can see, would have been hand plastered. And that's the building method. And anytime they needed to span, they would simply span with hand-hewn pine vigas, as you can see the remains to it. Another of those horseshoe-shaped Moorish arches. We'll go through it. You can see the thickness of these walls as you walk through them. And then we have a little sort of patio area. And you can take in the views of Glorieta Pass and the Pecos area. And here we have a buttress. You know, with this manner of construction, once you go beyond a certain height, you want buttresses. It's the same basic theory as a cathedral buttress. It's got to have that exterior support. And you can see all the foundations out there showing the really inconceivable scale of what this complex originally was. And the foundations are not adobe, because you don't want to put adobes right on the ground. That's rock from the area set in mud mortar, and that was probably done up to about 4 feet. And then after that point, they would have begun just laying the adobe block. So you can see, trying not to ruin anyone's privacy here, but it's just an extraordinary structure. And what's interesting about it is it's almost impossible to pinpoint the real architectural influences, because if you look at pre-Spanish Pueblo architecture, it was very similar to this, though it would never have an arch or a dome, of course. It was flat, but the construction method of the natives was essentially identical to this. But then you've got these essentially Middle Eastern or Moorish influences that were brought by the Spanish, because as you walk through here, you almost feel like you're in, you know, the old quarter of Morocco or North Africa. So actually it's kind of fascinating, because it really feels like a hybrid of the Middle East and Native American structures. It doesn't particularly remind one of Spanish European work, though partly that's our own ignorance because there are extensive structures in European Spain that are adobe. But just to the casual viewer, the hit it gives is you could be in Mexico, you know, Mesoamerica, or you could be in North Africa. That's the vibe it gives. And what I always like to imagine is think about the first Anglo frontiersmen that did come over this pass. You know, they'd crossed the plains, they'd crossed the wilderness, and keeping in mind the structure was much larger then, what could possibly be more shocking than seeing an ancient ruin that to the eye looks as old as the pyramids or something out of Mesopotamia? I mean, these people must have thought they had heat stroke when they rode up to this. Anyway, one of the great sights of America. Here you're enjoying it.